what's ahead for the rest of this year. And I'm also going to add a follow up question to that. It's actually a question that I use in my quickfire round is, as a result of COVID, what have you changed your mind about lately? So I'm going to start with Andie. Andie, the question is, what's ahead for the rest of 2021, and what have you changed your mind about lately?
Great questions. You actually asked a kind of part of this question when we were talking about incentives, and I realized I didn't quite answer it, but it was about whether or not incentives are going to stick around. And so that's part of my answer for what will happen in 2021. Especially in Alberta, it's very difficult to get rid of those rental rate incentives. Let's say if you've basically dropped somebody's rent around $200 a month, and then their lease comes up for renewal and you've taken that incentive away, you're risking turnover for sure. Lots of people probably wouldn't be able to afford that. So the rental rate incentives are probably going to stay for a little while longer. I mean, we've seen rental rate incentives in Alberta since 2016. They really haven't gone away, and that's a function of obviously our
Yep.
economy and all the other things and struggles we've had to get through here. So I do believe that incentives will remain. I think that we were also touching on larger spaces. Matt was saying larger spaces or functional spaces. We are seeing some buildings come up in Calgary that are going to offer, larger floor plans or just more functional spaces. So offering more of the 1+den to have that office space there for you. I think that will continue into 2021. And then what have I changed my mind on? I guess I used to be very pro, well, I still am. I still think amenities are very important. I'm going to touch on amenities. But I used to, think, you need a lot of amenities to attract these renters because all these buildings have all these amenities. You really can't launch a Beltline project without at least a gym and a social area. You're just, why you're competing with Park Central that has a rooftop pool and golf simulators and all these other things. You're not going to attract those renters. But my opinion has changed a little bit where I see, you know, because of COVID, a lot of those amenity spaces have had to shut down or just not operate in the same capacity as they were prior to COVID. And a lot of these buildings are charging premium for those amenities. And so why would you pay that if you're not getting access to that amenity? I mean, I live in a condo building, an investor owned unit. And so already I'm living in a little bit more of an affordable part of the rental market than the purpose built rental. But my gym in my building has been closed the whole time I've lived here. It has never been open. And if I was paying a premium for that, I would be pretty upset and I would look into moving to more of a suburban area where there might be no amenities in my building, but at least I'm not paying for something I can't use. At least my rent is going towards exactly what I'm paying for. So I do think that one thing that I kind of changed my mind on is just the importance of all these amenities. I think it's more important to be selective with them. And I think one thing I was going to touch on earlier when we were talking about kind of how developers are looking at their spaces now and offering more functional or bigger space is offering more outdoor amenities. So rooftop patios, barbecue spaces, making sure like some buildings don't even have balconies on some of the units. And I think we're learning now that, the importance of being able to go outside with your friends. I mean, I don't know about you, but obviously a lot of us aren't comfortable or aren't allowed to have people inside of our homes, but we're allowed to see people outside. And if you don't have kind of a social space to do that in your building, I mean, you go to a park, all the parks are packed because everyone's at the park because that's all you can do. So it would be nice to just have that private, either a larger balcony off of your unit where you can have a little fire table or something like that, or the outdoor patio spaces where you can have some friends over and still feel safe and still enjoy some social gatherings. So I do think that more creativity with those amenity spaces and not just plopping a gym in and doing all that basic kind of stuff. I think that will happen in 2021 as well.
Speaking of creativity and gyms, personally, I can't live without my Peloton anymore. So if developers are looking at gyms, they may want to actually go maybe the other route and just give everyone a Peloton in their unit.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah, like or a rental service where you could rent the Peloton for a month or rent one of those workout mirrors or something. I think that might be an interesting trend as well.
yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna same question, Paul. What's ahead for the rest of 2021, and what have you changed your mind about lately?
basically with shots in arms and summer coming, I think people are going to not only be coming outside, but I think they're going to come back to the downtown. Maybe not quickly, but I think the downtowns are going to come back, and the smaller units will once again become popular. And I think it's a good time for renters between now and the summer probably to pick up one of those units. And what I've changed my mind on personally is I could never binge anything before when it came to streaming. I was just too ADHD, but since I've had to stay in, and there's good programs like The Mandalorian and WandaVision, I've become a binge watcher.
Yeah, Paul.
Mandalorian is great.
There you go.
I've joined the younger generation there.
Yeah, the F1 series just started on Netflix, so I've been doing a bit of binge watching late at night. Great response, Matt. Same question.
I think moving forward for the rest of the year, it's going to take again a little longer to get all the shots in the arms, and I think it's in a good place. But I think we're going to, touching on what a few people touched on earlier, is incentives are going to continue to get more wild and creative, and possibly unique experiences. Even it'd be really nice to see some landlords offering maybe matching a month's with a rent that goes to the frontline workers or charity of their choice. Be kind of different take on it. And then as far as a personal kind of item that I've changed my thinking on a little bit is this consumption. I've been more aware of consumption overall as far as ordering delivery. And so when you think about when you order, delivery, it's so convenient, and we've gotten used to convenience, which is great. But at the same time, also think about, every single delivery that you get, do you really need those plastic spoons involved into it? You have spoons and silverware at home. So I saw something for the first time yesterday when I was ordering something for pickup, and it said, had given me the option to not include napkins and plastic, or forks and utensils. Yeah. So that was a great thing. Because the other one, as far as just on the business front, is that I've changed my mind about has been working remotely. So I didn't think it was going to, I was very hesitant and I love the office space and jiving with everyone and working things out on the whiteboard and we had offices in Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa, and that was a scary thing going into this. Where would it work? And I had some doubts about working remotely with the team, and our team has done an exceptional job working remotely and communicating through different chat tools and having meetings throughout the week. So that's something that I've changed my mind about. And, I think going forward, we're still trying to figure it out. We're not back to the offices yet, but definitely have changed my mind about, seeing that it can be done, and,
yeah, exactly.
And so it'll be interesting how we move forward with the rest of the year and work remotely, if we're going to try a hybrid approach or just work remotely for the rest of the year. That's undetermined still, but definitely nice to see that everyone's really done a great job at Rentals.ca working remotely, and really, really proud of our team.
Excellent. Ben, same question.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of my consulting work, developers are still looking at building rentals. So the site that I just was working on last week, the developer had 67% of the units being studios. So we're not bidding against the small units quite yet. And I believe that these developers are spending millions and millions of dollars to buy these properties and plan these properties and launch these rental buildings. So if the smart money and the big money is on a return to these downtowns, then I fundamentally believe that we'll see people move back downtown. I think they want to be close to friends. They want to be close to restaurants. They want to be close to to all the amenities and the things that they loved in the times before COVID. It'll be a little bit slower for people to to feel comfortable doing those things again, but 5 years from now, hopefully, we'll have forgot all about COVID and we're back, fully normal with people desiring to be as close to, amenities and services as they had before. I mean, in terms of my mindset, I don't think a lot has changed in terms of COVID. I was surprised at how quickly the market changed. I certainly didn't expect to see condo buildings where their average rent decreased by 35% year over year. I certainly never would have predicted that type of massive decline in a single year. But I guess fear of dying can make you make some pretty big decisions in terms of your housing situation. So I'm hoping things get back to normal. And in terms of my forecasting, obviously that's part of what I do for Rentals.ca and part of what I do for my personal clients. I'm thinking we get back to peak fall 2019 rates by the end of 2022. And I think the market's just going to shoot right back up. I think when you open the borders up, we're going to have a lot of people that are already approved and are already working for Canadian companies just coming right in and renting right away. I think we'll have a log jam of people ready to come in. In Toronto, as you know, we have the highest percentage of adults living with their parents. And I think if you live with your parents during a pandemic, I think this will be the time that you decide, I'm going to push my budget. I'm going to go out there and rent something, and I'm going to, no more failure to launch. I'm going to get out there and do something. So those are kind of the trends that I'm looking for the end of 2021 and into 2022.
Perfect. Pierre.
Hey, so I think Ben nailed it on the head there. Of course, being the expert that he is, developers are still building and they're still going out. And I think what they've learned for the rest of 2021 as they go forward, and the same thing that society, and this is a sort of like a combo answer that I've learned is just the importance of the exterior. Like something in the data that we saw was that while we saw transit and groceries swap, on the other side of the coin, cafes, restaurants, and parks all increased about 10%, right? And so people are seeing these things matter now, right? Where before, when you're stuck at home, outside became much more important. And so you started to realize the value of that exterior, of if you can't go to work and you're stuck at home and you're stuck, what are you doing, right? And I think developers are also seeing this. Developers are thinking about their community, about what they're building, about how they can impact an area, because there's amenities inside the building, but it's also what's happening, in this neighborhood that's going to be attractive to people. And I think that's something that is just going to grow. And the seriousness of we have to think about this holistic, community that we're building. And I think on the personal front, oh man, I have children, and being in pandemic with children stuck at home is rough. And I think that I have a lot more love for not that I have I didn't lose any. I did not like teachers, but it's oh my God, teachers are great. Schools are great. Let's make sure that we keep schools and teachers funded and they have what they need. And let's make sure that, we're thinking in a work from home culture. I think, what's developing here in work from home, I think people also want to go into the office. I think there's the office is not dead, right? The office is not dead.
No.
I myself look forward to going to the office once a week for a change of scenery and, and also to be a little bit away from my children sometimes, right? And to get that space to think and breathe. And so I think that, things like WeWork or things like these kinds of, flex spaces and things that are really going to matter still. I think that people still will go to an office. I think that relationship with your office is going to change tremendously. That's what we're doing in our company. I think Matt's point on people out of the country we have employees that we've hired out of the market that are waiting to come here once restrictions lift. So this is all true. So I think there's a huge influx of people coming to Canada. I think that jobs are preparing themselves for this flex environment where they're going to have an office, but they're also going to make it easy for their people to work from home. And therefore the people who work from home are really going to think about the, like, outside their four walls as much as inside their four walls. And I think those are the things that I see in 2021 and beyond that are sticking.